Hey guys, it's me, Maddie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here with Faith and Ikra, and we're going to talk to you about BPA because you guys have been requesting that a lot. So we picked 9 of your questions, and we're going to talk about those today. So the first question is, what is BPA? That's a pretty obvious question since this whole thing is about BPA. So BPA is short for bisphenol A, and it's a monomer that is used to give plastic its rigid structure. And so basically BPA is held together by ester bonds that are easily hydrolyzed. And hydrolysis is the reaction that molecules go through when they break apart. So it's basically just like adding water to the molecule causes it to split. And since the ester bonds are prone to hydrolysis, BPA easily leaches into the contents of its container, especially at higher temperatures.
Okay, so our second question was what products contain BPA? So BPA can be found in the lining of canned foods, plastic water bottles, baby bottles and toys, as well as other plastic containers.
So, what are the health effects of BPA? Previous research showed that there is a strong correlation between BPA exposure in animal experiments to causation of breast cancer, prostate cancer, impaired fertility, cystic ovaries, uterine fibroids, obesity, and hyperactivity. BPA also damages the endocrine system, and it can also cause cancer in the reproductive system, which leads to fertility problems.
So our next question is, why do manufacturers still use BPA if it has all these bad side effects? BPA is already so widely used that it would be time-consuming and expensive to make and switch over to other alternatives. Another reason that manufacturers still use BPA is that there have been no industry-funded studies reporting significant effects of BPA exposure on human health. Even though more than 90% of government-funded studies reported significant effects of BPA, manufacturers continue to discount them, ignore the fact that BPA has negative health effects.
Alright, so our next question was what products can be used instead of those that contain BPA? The BPA that's found in food and drink containers can leach out into your container's contents and then be consumed. So rather than using those products which contain BPA, there's some alternatives. Some of those include stainless steel or glass water bottles and containers that can be used as a replacement for plastics. But if you're going to continue using plastic products, those that are labeled 1, 2, and 5 are the safest to use and don't contain BPA. In addition, drinks that come in cardboard cartons such as juice boxes are also safer than plastic, and it's a good idea to avoid eating canned foods because the lining can contain BPA.
Our next question is, are there already alternatives to BPA? And there are substitutes for BPA, including bisphenol S, which BPS for short, and bisphenol F, BPF for short. But the problem with these alternatives is that they are just as hormonally active as BPA, so they are also endocrine disruptors. There is currently a new alternative that is being made and tested for commercial use called Bisglycol F, BGF for short. And this product is made using leftover lignin fragments from the papermaking and wood pulping processes. This is a much better alternative to BPA because it not only eliminates a lot of the waste that is produced in making paper, but it is also safe for human consumption.
So now it's time to talk about the regulations on BPA that we have. Currently, there aren't any strict regulations on BPA, and almost all the journal articles that we reviewed asked that we should have further research on BPA and more strict laws should be taken by the FDA. BPA is not allowed currently in infants' formula packaging. According to FDA, low dosage of BPA isn't bad, yet it has recently stopped from being in children's formula packaging. For infants and baby bottles are based on states. There is a picture based, so all the laws are different based on state you live in. So now we're going to talk about how the regulations on BPA is supported based on what research, and today's FDA and EPA regulations are based on traditional toxicological testing that is conducted in the 1980s, and if these regulations were based on current science, and many of the products that we use commonly would be banned, such as in makeups. It calls for FDA to step outside of the 19th century regulations and focus on the 20th century that we live in right now, 21st century. Scientific knowledge to accurately determine the safety of chemicals being used in products that we use in everyday life.
So our final question was, what could the FDA do to limit the use of BPA? In order to limit the use of BPA in everyday products, the FDA could put a limit on the amount of BPA that companies are allowed to use in their products. In addition, the FDA could give companies funding to work on creating alternative products that don't contain BPA, or seeing as it's been linked to some serious health issues, the FDA could ban the product altogether.
Right. So that's all we have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed our Q&A and that it was very informative and you know a lot more about BPA than you did before you watched this video.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Like and subscribe and watch this video again so I can get more views. Okay, have a great day. Bye!
Cancer, impaired fertility, BPA also damages your endocrine system, possesses cancer.
Endocrine system.
BPA also damages the endocrine system, possesses cancer. A strong correlation between BPA exposure in animal experiments to causation of breast cancer. So the third most popular question we have is what are the health effects of BPA is the other question we have. A strong correlation between BPA exposure in animal experiments.
There have been no industry study.
You know what? I swear to God. 80s, and if they're these for food would be banned. It calls for FDA. What the?